The meeting.
We're on the record.
Good evening. Tonight's, what is it, July 30th?
Yep.
Special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. We're in room 206 Town Hall. It is July 26, 2019. Our first item of business is, what did I say, July 30th, sorry, 2019. We're going to go into executive session. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Go into executive session.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Great. TV 79, we're in executive session. We'll let you know when we'll come out of it. This is a special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's Tuesday, July 30th, 2019. It is 8:20 p.m. after emerging out of executive session, and we are in room 206 at Town Hall. Kevin, you want to go?
Sure. Public hearing, item number 1, continuation of public hearing regarding amendment to Land Filling Regrading Application number 425, David Hughes, 18 Winding Lane. Request to amend the previously approved Land Filling Regrading Application number 425 with respect to the location and construction of the in-ground swimming pool, the retaining walls, terraces, and site grading. 1.4 acres subject property situated on the west side of Winding Lane, approximately 1,100 feet north of its intersection with Arrowhead Way, and is shown on Assessor's map number 64 as lot number 14 in the R1 zone.
Okay, so there were two outstanding items that we just wanted to double verify. It really had to do with the distance of the septic system away from the new location of the pool, if you will, or the proposed location of the pool. So, Jeremy, what did we get in the file this week?
Earlier today, David Knopf came to our office to review the file, the as-built survey of the pool, the location of the septic system, the septic tank. He sent an email for the record, which came in this afternoon at 1:45 p.m., which you all have a copy of, which is in the file. Based on the information provided, Health Department file records and information obtained from the homeowner. The approval previously granted by this department for the pool is still valid since minimum required separation distances have been maintained.
Okay, and then the town engineer?
Town engineer Darren Ostafine sent an email 12:07 p.m. Talking about contours on the adjacent to the south side of the property, which you all have this email, indicate that the stormwater overland flow travels north onto the subject property and cannot have an impact on the property to the south. Ledge outcroppings are shown on the plans with a wetland complex to the eastern portion of the property and septic system. Septic systems under the jurisdiction of the Health Department. And Winding Lane is a private road and not under the jurisdiction of Public Works.
Okay, so we got verification from the Health Department based on their review of the site plan. The site plan is stamped, correct, by a certified engineer?
Correct.
Okay. What?
And this, we want to verify it's 25 feet.
Yeah. And we got that from Seymour, right? So we also have a letter confirming that.
Correct.
And so I think we received everything we were looking for. Anybody else have any questions for staff? Okay. Anybody out in the audience like to address this?
Hi, I'm Allison Crouch. My husband and I live at 14 Winding Lane, directly next to the applicant.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Sure, Kreuch. And I'm not anti-pool, I'm anti-not following the rules. If you guys have been following along with the bouncing ball, this has been going on for over a year. And my concern now, and I thank you guys for getting all these assurances, is that they've not proven themselves to follow your rules. They certainly haven't followed any of the rules of being neighborly, and I have an access road that's been next to me. They've damaged the side of my property. What assurances do I have as a Darien resident that they're just not gonna put this pool in and that road's gonna stay there? What assurances do I have that they're gonna go back to grade? Can we withhold the CO until that happens? Can they have a landscaping plan? What can happen here?
Jeremy, what happened?
Sure, there would be, when the pool and the associated plans are completed, the zoning officer will go out and take a look and see if it meets the plans approved by the commission, if plans are approved, to issue a certificate of zoning compliance for the pool. That would mean that the patio complies, the associated patio, the pool. The building official would also look at it relative to the pool fence, which needs to be a minimum of 4 feet high, and other requirements of the building department. Certainly the removing the construction equipment would be part of that as well.
It's more than the construction equipment. It's that anybody that's been there there is a berm that they built as
Yeah,
an
yeah,
access
all
road.
that-
So
all
I
that
want
has
that
to
back
be-
to
yeah.
flat to grade before they get a CO, and how do I, because again, they put their pool in the wrong spot. How do we, you guys go in there and you physically go on the property
Yes.
and make sure? And are we?
Staff, not us.
Not, I know.
Staff.
Are we at all alerted this? I mean, again, this has been a year project. I don't want to be here. How do I know when they're getting this permit and make sure that this really happens? Because nothing that they've said that they were going to do so far has happened.
The question is, when are you alerted when the town issues the
Can I
zoning
request that?
compliance? It's- Can you put a note that, give them a email, or do you want them to check in with you from time to time when it?
I would say the best thing to do would be check into the office to see kind of where it stands. You would know better, you'll be out there certainly.
I live next door to the
every
blight.
day.
I
I'm
get
not
it,
out
yeah.
there every day, so you would have a better sense of when they're nearing completion. So certainly, feel free to give our office a call to get a sense of.
But can you guys approve it that they can't get it until this is all, is that?
Oh,
in
no,
the
they
approval?
won't. I mean,
Right.
our zoning compliance officer,
Is going to look.
Dave Keating, will look,
Right, the pool
make sure all the
equipment.
grades, all that's completed before they get the certificate of zoning compliance. Without that, then that pool is basically
They got a
not
problem.
compliant.
It's a
and
skateboard
they-
park.
Well, or the point is, it can't, if they were to ever sell the property or do anything like that, it would be a problem.
So
Okay.
the point is, they can't get the certificate of zoning compliance until the as-built survey is in. You can't, the as-built survey can't be done until the berm is taken out. So
Okay.
first you have to take out the berm, then you have to have the as-built survey, then you have to submit it to town. If the as-built survey doesn't match and the berm's still there, it doesn't get approved.
Then you have to put back the grass and all the tree sap and all those things that you knocked down because you were,
You don't have to put back what you knocked down, you have to get the grading correct.
okay, but what if you damage my property
Well,
along the
then
way?
That's your own
that's a civil issue that we can't, I mean, we can't do anything about that if there's damage on your property.
And
We
you-
can assure that their property is developed to the site plan that is, if it is ultimately approved.
Okay,
The
thank
only
you.
thing that you asked too about the road, that's a private road. That's not under our watch.
Oh, no, the reason that I know all this is because the Tokenique Association is horrified by them and comes to me all the time. Believe me, this is not like, it's more than just me.
Yeah.
But again, I thank you guys truly for all of this. I just hope that we can have closure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In our deliberations, you might see like a timeline put in place that it's got to be completed and that sort of thing.
That would be lovely because
Yeah.
we're 14 months into the pool.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Anybody else like to comment on this? No, seeing none, can I get a motion to close this here?
Yep, I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Did you want to?
I'm Matt Batterson with Relations Construction. And I just wanted to let you guys know, just to clarify if there was any other questions, that right now, as it sits, there will be no more fill coming into the property. We'll use the stockpile area that the grade is up right now to fill in what needs to be filled in. The only trucks that will be coming in is probably about 2 trucks worth of topsoil after the patio has been completed. We are looking between probably 4 to 6 weeks for a completion time once we get the approval. And we do not have a landscape plan for the property as it sits right now, but I'm not required by the town of Darien
Correct,
to have
correct.
one. So I just wanted to make that
Okay.
clear if anybody had any questions on it.
No, we good. So you think like an 8-week time frame is realistic?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Anybody else? Sure.
It's sad that I know that I have to come up here and say this, but is there a possibility of them being mandated to have a landscape plan based on what this looks like, or is that not? I mean, again, this is a project, I don't want to show the pictures, you guys who have driven by know.
I don't think, given the project, that the regs require a landscape plan, so we can't just say, well, because this has happened, you need a landscape plan.
Okay.
This is not the first one that has come back to us after the fact, and over the years, it's been one of our greatest frustrations. Our charter nor the state regs allow us to penalize people or anything like that. So we're just trying to find a resolution that, fits your needs, fits the homeowner's needs, and just get it done.
Believe me, I want completion, I just
So-
want assurance.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
There was said you can't add a landscape plan to something that's an amendment.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Seeing none, can I get a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor? Great, thank you. Next item, please.
General meeting, item number 2 on the agenda, possible authorization for town council to enter into a settlement in the case of Andrew Shaw Memorial Trust versus Darien Planning Zoning Commission, docket number DN FST-CV-19-6039671.
Okay, so we've discussed the proposed settlement in the file for this item. It's been in the file since Friday, July 26th. We've raised this agenda item to give authorization for town council to enter into the settlement of the case of Andrew Shaw Memorial Trust and Darien Planning Zoning Commission, docket DN FST-CV-19-6039671. So could I get a motion for town council to enter into the settlement?
It's just a public forum.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Great, thank you.
Number 3 on the agenda, business site plan number 293, special permit Hollow Tree Storage, 131 Hollow Tree Ridge Road, request to modify plans relative to previously approved sidewalk.
Jeremy, you want to just?
Sure, I'll give you the background. You may recall Hollow Tree Storage was proposed, approved, and constructed on property formerly known as the Duhane property adjacent to Avalon off Hollow Tree Ridge Road. The applicant asked for a CO. Dave Keating and the building official went out, saw that everything was constructed properly, issued a CO. And since that time, the state of Connecticut has been working with Mr. Hertz and said, oh, we've noticed from the plan, there's a little piece of sidewalk parallel to Hollow Tree Ridge Road on the west side of the road that you haven't built. It's kind of extending from this project southward.
Why is the state involved? It's state property?
It's, well, 2 reasons. It was shown on the plan and they needed a permit to do the original plan, so they needed a state permit. The state permit referred to the approved plans, which showed the extension of that driveway. So Mr. Hertz and Mr. Murray are here tonight to explain to the commission some of the issues with constructing that driveway and sidewalk, I'm sorry. Thank you, Steve. Constructing that extension of the sidewalk further south. One of the main issues being, it's not on their property, it's on state DOT property.
Why this whole sidewalk thing keeps coming back and nipping us?
And there's, I think, 4 telephone poles involved.
Great.
But Mr. Murray's here to walk through that.
If I might, I'm going to
Yeah,
give you a
please
package.
do.
The second page of the package has a photograph.
Okay.
And it shows very clearly where the sidewalk isn't and all the telephone poles in the middle of it. But thank you all for your time. My name is Michael Murray. On behalf of the applicant, Affordable Self-Storage, as Jeremy mentioned, this area is owned by the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation. There's telephone poles are an impediment to building the sidewalk. There's also some guardrails there that prevent somebody from getting onto 95, which are a problem. There's also an Eversource transmission easement that's there, that's a problem. So and there's also a sidewalk across the street, but the biggest factor I would say is that OSTA, Tracy May from the state of Connecticut, came out and sort of approved the plan without the sidewalk. So, you know, but we need to change the site plan to remove it in order to proceed with the state of Connecticut.
And there's no, I mean, literally, there's 4 telephone poles there.
Right.
So they want you to connect those 2 sidewalks?
At some point, yes, but then it became impractical, and we never changed the site plan.
So they,
Well, just for the record, I'm a customer of the place.
So much.
I don't want to be conflicted.
all right.
My
You
vote's
aren't
yes.
conflicted.
My
You
vote's-
put your vote there. Go ahead, sir.
In my overly simplistic terms, so instead of building the sidewalk to conform to the site plan, we're gonna change the site plan and avoid building
Correct.
the sidewalk.
Please, yes.
Okay.
Because, I
So I
mean,
understand.
yeah, this is, I don't know how, you'd have to bury the lines or, I don't even know how.
If it's even possible.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want the sidewalk in the world?
Well, I'm sure someone does.
There is a sidewalk across the street,
Sidewalk across
remember?
the street.
Yeah, that links across 95, so,
And there is a crosswalk
Yeah.
there from
Yeah,
the
no,
edge.
Avalon too.
Yeah.
Okay, it just doesn't seem feasible. So as an engine, like, when the original site plan came to us,
It included the sidewalk.
and it was an oversight that the massive
We got out
amount
there
of.
and said, oh my goodness, we
Okay,
can't do this.
perfect,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all.
So just a motion to amend the site plan as submitted, right?
Yep.
Motion second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
Thank you all for your time. Have a good night.
Land Coastal Site Plan Review number 328, flood damage prevention application number 377, land filling and grading application number 427, Michelle Malbison, 23 Rivers Lane, request to amend previously approved house plans and add a new cupola. And I apologize if I totally got that.
No, you got Mobus
Yeah,
right.
right.
That's good. So, just for the two of you that weren't here, the applicant presented a cupola. Two of the four members, as you guys watched, just to get everybody up to speed, thought it was too big. And two of us thought it was fine. So I said, not knowing what the other two commissioners that aren't present would think, to come back and give them a suggestion maybe to take the size of the cupola down. So, here we are.
So Ryan Fletcher's given us some plans to distribute, which shows what was previously approved and the modification which was emailed to you earlier today with the reduced size cupola. Originally, it was a skylight.
Wrong one.
You're giving us the stuff for Post Road, you're talking about Fletcher's not the Google, this guy's Google.
That's Mr.
That
Fletcher.
is Mr. Fletcher.
Both.
That's,
Wait, what
Here
is?
for both.
those aren't the right.
You guys have both.
Wait,
ones,
wait.
Oh, sorry, everybody. What am I, we're looking at Post Road stuff now.
Right. So the plans Fred has here are the big plans Mr. Fletcher has next to him. The originally
Oh,
approved
but
plans.
look, we're looking at
It's
this.
the wrong one.
Thank you, that's what we're getting,
Got it.
sorry. We're looking at the wrong papers.
So,
There we go.
Here, have a plan.
so the original plan was a skylight at the top.
Yeah.
You may recall last time, there was concerns by some commission members. You also received a letter from the Easterbrooks on July 16th, or for that meeting. And the applicant was asked to come back with a reduced size version, and they're here to present that tonight for your review.
Okay. Go ahead.
I am Ryan Fletcher with Fletcher. So basically, the last meeting, we actually had a cupola, and we were rejected by the board. And what we did is we went back to the drawing board, and our architect designed a cupola that was in between the two chimney heights. So this board right here, which is on one of your guys' packages, that says the approved version. This is the ridge skylight that was initially approved.
Okay.
And then what we did is we redrew the cupola that matches, that is still not 4 feet wide, but what it is we basically were told in the last meeting, you guys didn't really care about how wide it was all about height. And in taking that, we obviously had the two letters from the neighbors that could see over the top of our house. It was the neighbor to our right that was the one that was, they wanted to make their no obstruction to their views. So we made sure that the cupola wasn't protruding past the chimneys. So what we did is, this is the front elevation of the house.
Yeah.
What you guys have. And then this is the side elevation of the house showing the two chimneys sticking up past the roof, which were both obviously approved in the original drawings.
Okay, so the cupola is now as redesigned, how tall?
The cupola, as designed, is 5'10" tall.
Okay, to the, halfway to the,
It's 3'2"
Yeah.
to the bottom of the roof, and
Yeah.
then from the roof up to the top is brings it up to 5'10".
okay. And the chimney is,
6'2".
okay.
Jeremy, back when we were the cupola commission, where we saw these every other week, we developed some guidelines for those.
Right, it was generally 4 by 4 in the case of a cupola, which exceeds building, where that house exceeds building height. On a lower house, you could build a much bigger cupola, but in a case like this, it was generally 4 by 4.
Okay.
Is there a bigger version of this plan we get emailed?
Yeah, we emailed them, and then we brought you hard copies, 11 by 17.
This is the email.
Which drawing should we be looking at?
Yeah, I think it's this.
This one that says.
Everybody has the
Proposed.
two packages.
Sorry,
Two packages.
hold on, here, it's right here.
Oh,
It's,
Sorry.
I was holding
I
on to
screwed
it,
up.
me
This
too.
says 5'10", okay.
I see it now, all right. The other one was higher than the chimney, but, okay.
We have approved, which is the skylights, the proposed.
So it's the average of the two chimneys.
It is, yes, we split it.
Okay, all right.
That says 5'10".
Now I understand.
All right, so last time, Steve, you were no. I and Jim didn't care, or we cared, but we were okay.
I mean, okay.
A yes? Same, yes too?
Yeah.
Okay, so even if Ms. Riva was not here before, I'm not gonna suppose you're a no still, I mean,
Now I can care less.
okay.
It's still 4 yeses.
Okay, so let's vote on this as now proposed, this smaller modified cupola.
Vote to approve as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
4,
I abstain.
nay, abstain, okay. So 4-0-1. All right, so you got it, and thank you for working with us, and I think hopefully you got, good compromise there.
Absolutely, thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Also stay up here.
Yep.
Thank you. Number 5,
Oh, yeah.
amendments to business site plan number 222A, Fletcher Development LLC, 692 Boston Post Road, request to convert front building to a single-family residential house.
So now,
Now Fred's got the plan.
we're all out of sync today. No, I'm just joking. Okay. Yeah, take these, we don't need this anymore. All right, sir, reintroduce yourself for the record, please.
Brian Fletcher with Fletcher Development.
Thanks. And you can just take it from here.
Does anybody know the history of this house or the property?
I mean, I know the property, I just don't know the
Yeah, the
history.
history.
The
We've
bungalow
heard
in the
it.
back.
This is the
Yeah, it
one
has
we
the
did.
two, the cottages and the barn in the back.
Oh, yes, okay,
You were
that
supposed to have
is,
the architect.
We did that last year.
What's that?
You're supposed to have an architect in the front room.
We are, and then the deal fell through.
Okay.
And if anybody knows, we own 320, 330 Post Road,
Yep.
so I own enough office space.
got it, okay.
What do you say?
He owns enough
Owns
office
enough
space.
But long story short is, we bought the property in February of last year. We bought it to be able to put our office building in the, or to basically change it to our office in the front. It used to be a single-family residence. When we bought it, it was a single-family residence that was being used for office space. It had-
What year was that roughly?
This was last year. This was 2018. And what we did is, I came through the approval process to actually turn it into an office for Fletcher Development. As my life changed, we ended up moving our office over to 320, 330 Post Road to our new office building, and we had a deal with an architect to actually buy this and turn it into his office, and that's why Bob Cardello did the plans for his office. About 3 months ago, he decided to pull out of the deal. When he pulled out of the deal, we decided to turn it back to a single family. We'd like to turn it back to a single family house because that's what makes sense for. Honestly, the spot there is just really, really tricky, and there's a lot of office space in that area that's just not renting.
Yeah.
So we wanted to basically build something that was going to be for a rental, like a high-end rental.
How many square feet is it gonna be
It's
roughly?
about 1,700 square feet.
3 bedrooms,
3 bedrooms.
2 baths?
3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and 1 half bath.
It's a single-family rental house,
It's a single-family rental.
so you're not gonna make it a 2-family or 3 apartments?
Nope, just one single-family house. And if you look at the floor plans of basically what the office space was and what it's going to, we didn't even change any wall locations. We're just turning what the offices were into living space. And the second floor, we obviously rejiggered a little bit, and if you look at the pages of what was approved for the office space and then to the house, and the outside, we did not change one thing, not one door, not one window, not one piece of siding.
So the mailbox is out front, A, B, and C, that's the 2 cottages in the back, and then the garage in the back?
That's correct. There's the barn and the 2 cottages.
All right.
Great idea.
I think it's great too. We're in desperate need of housing like that as somebody who had to move out of town during renovation, so. Yeah, and it's gonna look great, so.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments? So can you motion to approve this amendment? It's
Motion
not
to
a public.
approve is to.
This is all general here. Second, Mr. Rand, all in favor? Great. Yeah, we're in.
Enjoy your new house.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Number 6 on the agenda, site plan, business site plan number 295, special permit Noroton Heights Shopping Center, Heights Road, request for temporary structure for Embody to use during construction project, request to modify phasing plan, associated requested change in timing of required installations relative to stormwater management and traffic improvements.
Good morning, Greg Palmer, Noroton Heights Shopping
Morning.
Center. That's how I feel today.
So what do you got?
So we were turned down by Glen Liquor on the temporary building.
Okay,
So Embody, who was another tenant of ours in a much smaller space,
Sure.
has asked us to pursue it on their behalf.
okay.
We've looked at a couple temporary structures. They're a lot smaller, about a third of the size. They have a trailer that's about 12 by 64 that would be long and narrow. It runs about 768 square feet. I believe it's in the letter I gave you. And a smaller, a different, more square rectangular building that's about 960 square feet that we proposed to them. There's maybe even one a little bit in between that as well. They have not accepted the proposal yet. They'd like us to pursue it as they look at other options, but it's something that we'd like to have on the table for them in the
Okay.
future.
And I think,
It'd be essentially, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, go
in
ahead.
front of where it is now, right?
It's in the old site plan, it was, yes, correct, it's in front of where it is now, and the approved site plan, it was tucked to the right corner, over by the back of the parking, which was near a retaining wall. Our construction team, AP, asked us if we could get it away from the retaining wall so that work can be done without interruption.
okay. So it's basically smaller than what we originally approved?
Correct.
Okay.
What's this little blue box?
That is it, Steve.
Do we, is the nature of this that we have to approve the use of this building?
It's
Well-
existing use, isn't it?
In a case like this, you're right, it's a special permit use.
But do we have to say embody? I mean, what if embody bails and he wants to do something else?
I guess
Can he
that's a
come
good
back?
question for the commission, is in terms of, there's two issues, the trailer location and then the use of what's going inside. So, in this case, Embody's already a permitted use on the premises, they're just moving, what, 30 feet, 40 feet away?
Going
Or-
forward,
And then the commission could
I
say,
get where you're going.
you know what, we're approving a trailer in this location, whether it's a retail use, whether it's a.
Whatever's
existing-
there, existing use, I mean, unless it's a wildly, like,
Right.
it's a
As long
laser
as he's
tag
not-
place, we
right.
don't want to.
As long as he's not bringing a new use on the site, the
Yeah.
commission, I would argue, could say, not only Embody, but if Wild Birds wants to move in. or
Anything existing on the
Junix,
site,
Or
yeah.
And donuts.
or whatever it might be, in this space that fits.
Yeah, bummer.
It's kind of a, it's not a big space, though.
No.
Yeah, so I guess in our approval,
But
so it's understood that wherever we approve this trailer, as long as it's existing use on site, they should have the flexibility, right? Is that where you were going?
Yeah, I guess that's where I was going. I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's some sort of silly if, he's already had to come back once.
Yeah.
Well, this is a different sized
Yeah.
building.
And
That's
a
the
di-
reason I came back.
And
The
a
other one was
different
much
site.
larger and in a different
Lo-
place.
Location, yeah,
Correct.
so, okay.
They still will require health department approval,
Yeah.
aside from P and Z approval, but
Okay,
agreed.
so if you gotta move it again, you'll have to come back, but
I
hopefully
don't
you
think you're
won't.
moving.
I mean,
I think
you
it's
just can't put 6 of them there. You don't want to have.
Yeah, no, one, yeah. All right, motion to approve at least A,
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
second,
Second.
all in favor, okay. So B now is
Well,
the,
we're supposed to update you on the phasing plan, but the real update is that we really don't have a phasing plan anymore. We are sequencing the project in an order that is most efficient to the plan, which is most efficient to the whole overall project. I believe Jeremy and my project manager and AP Construction were here last week. Jeremy might be able to update you more than I, because I wasn't at the meeting.
so basically, the original resolution was written with phasing plan. Now it's essentially, in layman's terms, scrape and build.
They're doing it all at once.
Yeah.
Both, if you will, both buildings, there's two proposed buildings. They're both L-shaped. and they're gonna build them both at once. And we met, a number of department heads met in this room with the construction manager last week, and he said, you know, the commission's resolution was very specific relative to phasing and when certain improvements are required as, at the end and beginning of each phases. But if we're not phasing it, we'll need to go back to the commission, get clarification on that. So the letter you have dated July 25th from Joe Orlando is to point out that there's no more phasing and to ask for clarifications or amendments on when certain improvements, like the drainage improvements and the traffic improvements, will be required to be done. We talked a little bit about how the project's going to lay out, when they're going to do certain things. So this letter is a result of that conversation, not only with myself, but with the Public Works Director, the building official, and a number of other people helping you along to get this through.
Exactly.
And so the letter is specific in terms of when is the best time to do these improvements for them, in terms of what they anticipate, the weather, asphalt plants, the best time for traffic control, things like that.
And the busy season for plumbers.
Right.
So we don't want to do it
The
right
day
around the
before
holidays
Thanksgiving,
or
right.
right around Memorial Day, so.
Okay, so the key is the drainage in the back parking lot, or the, not the back, but I guess I should call it the.
The lower level,
Yeah, lower
Zero
level
Edgerton,
parking,
yeah.
And then just I mean, from a town perspective, those are the improvements that were part of the, you know, in the town's best interest in getting done. So I'm fine, especially if staff is.
Yeah, we're comfortable with this.
Ed Gentile signed off on it?
Ed Gentile was
He's
in the
the most
meeting,
important guy.
and we talked about the fact that if you think about it, what they're talking about is the summer of 2020, which is pretty much a year from now. What they envision is making these improvements then. So think of all the work that needs to be done between now and then.
Yeah.
Right? The tenants are still in there today. Moving the tenants out, getting demo permits for the buildings, demolishing all those buildings, putting new foundations in, new buildings in. Clearly, the buildings will not be done by this time next year, so the improvements will still be going in well before the buildings are done.
Yeah, okay.
What about the signalization? Who's the new traffic guy now? Not Don Anderson, right? He's bumped up the level.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to be staffed to the Legal Traffic Authority. Don Anderson was in that meeting.
He's
last
involved
week.
as far as I know.
Yep, he was there and said it makes sense.
Okay, but police will eventually appoint somebody as the
Right.
head of the traffic.
Right, a
authority.
lot of that meeting, we
But
talked.
you said Anderson was there, right?
Anderson was there.
He signed off on this letter too?
He did, because we talked about the logical time to have these improvements made, and the fact that we're going to talk about what they talk, sidewalk coverings for all along Heights Road and up on Hollow Tree. We talked about a lot of signage for pedestrians to make sure they understand where they should be crossing the street, staying out of the construction zones, and Don Anderson helped with that conversation.
As long as you guys can follow along, it makes sense. We're not paving over a place that we don't put drainage, that sort of thing, then we're gonna be
Exactly.
good. Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve these, the amended, I guess it's modified the phasing plan?
So move.
Second?
All in favor? Great. And then just, so when are you gonna break ground, roughly?
October.
Good,
So-
great luck, good luck.
I want to take a moment to thank John for his service to the town. over the last
Everybody
7
too.
years.
Thanks.
Thank you, and all the commissioners.
I appreciate
And
it.
your wonderful staff.
We're really looking forward to seeing this, so,
I hear a lot of positive energy from the town.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, great luck. Yeah, thanks
Have a
again.
great night.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Number 7, special permit application number 296, site plan The Commons at Roden Heights, Heights Road, request for extension of time to commence project.
While we're not meeting with the Palmers and their representatives, much of our time is spent meeting with representatives of Federal Realty. Patrick McMahon, Sarah Ford, Chris Cole, and their construction folks, as they too aim to get underway with their project later this year. So their letter is asking for basically a little more time because they realize, you know, technically the permit runs out. I said, look, you've been working with us. We've had numerous meetings with your engineer, Craig Flaherty, to talk about the drainage, the phasing that they're going to do, getting the new Walgreens up and running.
And their drainage is very important to
Very
the town,
significant, and
and
that-
it's pretty complex, so I get it.
It's very tricky because it's right in the middle.
Yeah,
So how do you build something, leave the rest of the project open? So Craig Flaherty has spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best way and the correct timing. So that will be a significant piece of the project that comes early on in the project. So basically, tonight, what the commission has before it is a simple letter request, just to authorize work to get started in, I think, as outlined in their July 19th email, construction commencing in October 2019 with some demolition, followed by work on the stormwater detention system.
so how much,
The only
yeah,
thing I would say, excuse me, John, is they're asking for 6 months. We usually get these things a year.
yeah, well,
I'm sure.
give them 12 months, please.
Sure.
Everybody good with that? Yep. Okay, that's unanimous, perfect.
Got it.
Number 8, amendment of business site plan number 249A, special permit Whole Foods Market, 150152 Ledge Road. Request to move farmers markets from Goodwill Shopping Center to the Whole Foods Market parking lot.
So, you want to talk about it, or should I talk about it?
I can start in. You had the letter request, with the farmers talking about a possible move to a portion of the front Whole Foods parking lot. You have a copy of the map in your packets. Certainly, there's a question on whether the farmers would want to make that move in the middle, which is essentially, this is the middle of their year. They go till November. Or whether they would want to stay at Good Wives the rest of this year and possibly move next year. Again, this is a move that was initiated by the representatives of the farmers market, not by the town. This was the farmers coming to, approaching Whole Foods and saying, is this work? There are other farmers markets that do occur at Whole Foods, I believe, in other communities. But I think there's a possibility they might stay where they are.
So this is
They're looking
basically a
for
tenant
flexibility.
looking for flexibility. From what, also based on conversations we've had with the Corbin District developer, they have an interest in housing the farmer's market ultimately upon the completion of their project, which is probably 2 to 3 years out. So, you know, I view this as probably a temporary area. It's probably not the most ideal
Right.
area for it, but I think there's room. I don't think there's a health, safety, you know, I don't think it really impacts neighbors. We're talking once a week for what, 9 months of the year, 8 months of the year?
Usually it's, I think, June to November.
Oh, that's it. Okay, it's 6 months.
So,
It's
out of
short.
curiosity, how come the tenant's not here?
You mean the
The-
farmers?
Yeah,
Because I said, I don't think you need to
Yeah.
drive down from,
yeah,
who knows?
yeah.
So,
It's not like signed by, Mr. John D. Farmer?
no, they have a representative, Judith Sedor, who I've been working with. She said, I'd come down if you need me. I said, well, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, okay, I don't think, do you? No. So, you okay? You were gonna ask a question?
The Whole Foods was long before my time. But there were presumably parking stipulations, regulations, whatever. How many square feet, how many parking spaces, how many hours, so yada, yada, yada. What does setting aside 25, 30, I don't know what, parking places for the farmer's market, plus the traffic that is gonna go to the farmer's market, not intended for Whole Foods? Where does that leave us?
Right, that was the first question, when I met with the manager of Whole Foods a couple weeks ago, certainly that was question one. First and foremost, traffic and parking. Is this even gonna work for Whole Foods? Because they do have much of their parking in the front, I'll call it the front, which is closer to the Boston Post Road, is for employees, about half that. And they said, you know, that's a concern for us, first and foremost. We need to be comfortable running our operations every day of the week, including Wednesdays when the farmers could be here. So they said, look, we need to think about it on the Whole Food side. We will get back to you and the farmers whether this is even going to work for us. because certainly,
Whole Foods can say no, if Whole Foods can own parking, that's.
Absolutely.
So what was the
the
resolution?
resolution was, they said, you know what, it will work. Certainly, they were concerned, but they believe that what they were represented, which is, look, it's June to November on Wednesdays. They were comfortable with that.
So remember that, I mean, parking's never built for peak, but it probably wasn't built for June and November on a Wednesday afternoon.
November,
They're,
that includes-
well, if they
Includes
get in,
Thanksgiving.
we could put it that they have to shut down before Thanksgiving week, right? That,
Yes, that was really one of the issues, is right now, it used to be the farmers would go a little long. This year, the farmers end right the day before Thanksgiving is their last day.
okay, so that,
Really,
that won't work for Whole Foods, so we could probably tell them you gotta end, not that Wednesday of Thanksgiving.
It would be
but
the week before.
the
But
week
their
before.
landlord will tell them no.
Yeah. Well, but we don't wanna have a parking mess, so
Right.
I think with that kind of tweak, it'd be okay. I would give them 3 years at this site, right? See how it goes, and then they still have the approval at the existing site too, right?
That's correct, they've been approved, and they're
Okay.
running there, and things,
Okay.
as far as I know, things are going very well
All
there.
right, so they might not even come here.
They're asking for two.
Okay, well, I was gonna say until 2022, because that's more likely when the Corbin district is done. I don't mind giving them another year, do you?
I would give them what they asked for. I mean, I don't just accept the other one for, who
Okay.
cares?
Well, then they'd have to come back.
Relative to parking, the only thing I would say about parking, there's, a quadrillion spaces here, whatever the number is, I don't know what the number is. It's designed for every single one to be filled, right? So if they're all full, right now, even though you're taking out those spaces across, they may not be full. You follow me? So it is a little, the parking sometimes can be tight, and I think there are some BMWs on backside. But if the landlord, quote unquote, Whole Foods is the landlord, they approve it, it's only gonna hurt their business.
And it's temporary, and if it turns out, not okay, so give them approval through 2021, and then just tell them they gotta shut down. the week
No day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no day before
Now,
Thanksgiving.
did you get thrown under the bus by the Win Biddle email that was in the Darienite?
I did communicate earlier today with Wing Biddle. He noted in his email to you that he loved, self-explanatory.
He wants to
looked-
keep 'em.
He wants to keep the farmer's market at Good Wives, and certainly whether they stay at Good Wives is not my choice.
Yeah,
That's the farmer's choice.
Yeah.
Whether they stay. And again, from what I understand, they're doing fine there, and they may decide to stay.
there's clearly a reason why they look to change, so
Right, yeah.
he doesn't have to
So
get
that's-
into it, so
that's
we
good that-
surmise certain things. and-
That lots of people want them. We're hoping, as John and I discussed earlier today, that maybe we can, in the future, get a day other than Wednesday, but that's beyond our control.
And, yeah, I mean, that's an idea that, actually Greg Palmer sent an email earlier, maybe once those projects are done, you have something popping up there. So, I mean, we want to make this as easy as possible for these
But
guys.
the applicant here is Whole Foods, or it's the farmers?
I would argue that the request came from the farmers, but I am aware of the fact that Whole Foods supports the request, because they've been working, as I said, I met face-to-face with the manager of Whole Foods. I've seen the communications back and forth between the farmers and Whole Foods, kind of negotiating, making sure it's all okay.
If Whole Foods is not okay with it, it's not going to happen, right?
That's,
And when a tenant goes into Good Wives, and it's, whatever tenant it is, like a chocolate factory or a fitness place, usually the applicant is the fitness place, right?
Yeah.
It's not-
That's fine.
It's never been,
Biddle.
Biddle, right? So in this instance, again, it's the quote unquote tenant. I have motion to approve.
Second, I can't second, but,
Jim Rand?
Who seconded?
Mr. Rand,
Thank
Sorry,
you.
second.
that was a
Thank you.
question mark at the end. Okay, good.
5-0 with the condition being no day before Thanksgiving at Whole Foods.
Yeah, through November 2021.
Through November 2021. And the option of where they end up is up to the farmers.
Okay,
Number 9, amendment to coastal site plan review, number 134, flood damage prevention application, number 135, 7 North Road, proposal to modify driveway area.
okay, so this was the item that we asked the applicant to come back with a don't want to say a formal application, but just something that we could look at. It was the turnaround area and the patio, and we'll let you go from there. And again,
My name's Chris Harvey-Smith. I'm with Create Escape Garden Maintenance, and I represent McCartney and Shea Wilkins. I spoke with Dave Keating, and the fire marshal has nixed the turnaround situation. He doesn't want to change that.
okay,
I was instructed to get a CAM report, reflecting what this project would do to the coastal area along the creek, and I've provided a copy of that from environmental and I don't know if you had a chance to read it. Okay. And upon talking to them, I also spoke with Dave Keating again, and what he recommended too, because we originally were going to mitigate, the hard surface, take the lawn out and then take it out of the road. We can't do that. We have already, through approval of planning and zoning, reduced the upper driveway, roughly 500 square feet, but it was a cobblestone surround and then process and gravel in the middle with a pretty steep pitch, and we lowered the pitch, but we did reduce it. I don't know if you could say it's a full 500 square feet once you factor in the fact that there was some drainage there going through the process, but what we came up with is the driveway going into the garage is massive, and we could reduce the sides of that if it is still really important to trade off the hard surface of the fire pit area for more porous material around the property. But also speaking with Dave today, he came up with an idea about increasing the drainage coming from the fire pit area. And basically, we have to stay above mean high tide. And so the drainage I can't go super deep with the drainage, but I could still tremendously improve the way that property will drain, and I put that together just before the meeting. But it shows the right around the low area of the patio of how we can filter out the.
I mean, in general, we're looking at really small
Very
surface
small.
areas, right? I mean,
Yeah, this
we
is not a big
struggled
project.
with even the concept of you having to come forth of a general meeting on them. So I really appreciate that you did this. It's been thoughtful. I'm all for it. I don't know if anybody else has any concerns, but
As long as Dave Keating signs off on
yeah,
it, it's fine. But
yeah.
The property has been staked by Seymour, but they have to come out because according to Environmental Land Services, they said that we have to stay above the coastal jurisdiction line because that involves the state. And so that line has to be delineated, and we're
Okay.
going to have Seymour come back and mark where that is. And we want to move the wall. I've included a letter from the neighbor who has no objection to moving the wall over, but I am not to get near that line.
Okay.
And so Seymour is going to come out and mark that, and then I put up my silt fences, and that's that.
And Dave will ensure all that's done correctly. And
Correct.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve this it's not a true application, but proposed amendment?
Second.
you got a motion, you got a second.
All in favor?
You need a motion.
Kevin?
Kevin,
I
Jim.
got it. Okay. Thank
Great,
you.
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Number 10, coastal site plan review, number 3 and 4A, land filling and grading application number 392A, Joyce 67 Salem Straits, request for bond release. Jeez, this is an old one, huh?
So,
Right, I read through the resolution today, which realizes that it's not really, it's really something the commission left to staff. There were 2 separate bonds, one relative to the health of the neighbor's trees on the shared property line, which was 1/3 could be released every year for 3 years. And then one is the planting plan on the refurbished bank adjacent to the driveway, which was 2 years, with half refundable the first year. So,
This was Amy Zabatakis and Bob Kelly.
oh, yeah.
that's
yeah,
correct,
yeah,
you
yeah.
remember that one?
Amy's on one side.
There was
Kelly's
a
on
bond because it wasn't, the site plan wasn't followed, so.
Right, so in this case, Dave's gone out, says it looks okay, I think, so we can release part of the bond, and then we'll keep working with them and
Yeah.
releasing it as we go. But I
This
wanted
is
to bring
your
it to
call, yeah.
Bring it to the attention of the commission that the project's been long done, new owners are moved in, the pool there in the front yard is all done. But we'll go back, check the trees, make sure it's all set,
And just release it as scheduled?
release as needed.
You
Okay,
just give Amy the heads up?
Yep.
okay. So deliberations now.
Sorry, we're done with that one?
Yeah.
Deliberations and possible decision regarding the following items: proposed amendments, Darien zoning regulations, COZR 3-2019, put forth by Pemberton 16 LC. Proposal to add a new section 597 of the Darien zoning regulation to allow for the creation of housing for persons 55 years or older within the Leroy West Affordable Housing Overlay LW zone, where one member of at least 80% of the occupied units be 55 years of age or older.
So you gave us, we instructed you to write up a negative resolution. You want to, I think the keys were around the parking, taking in also the previous files relative to the Stefanoni applications and the testimony that was given there. We have a couple different traffic, or comments from a traffic expert about safety and welfare of that area. I think the resolution is pretty well written.
Yeah.
Right, what we wanted to do was mention, as you said during your deliberations, kind of, there is background here that's certainly important to understand. We touched on a little bit that the fact that this is a text change to the regulations. So the commission needed to make a finding relative to the town plan of conservation and development, and that's on page 4. And that it's not really the role, as Mr. Rand mentioned throughout the proceedings, it's not really the commission's role to worry about the financing of the developer.
Ensuring viability.
Ensuring financial viability. But you're right, John, it's, other than walking through some of the background and prior applications and parking issues and whether the proposed zoning regulation amendments are consistent with the town plan, that pretty much covers everything in the draft resolution.
Yeah, and, again, the finding is actually, it's not consistent with the town plan, but I think you can give a lot of background of our concerns related to the parking issues.
Is there a finding that's not consistent with the town plan?
That'd be finding number 18.
I understand that, but why do we have to say that?
Because it's a zone change, right, amendment. It's not a-
Correct.
And again, this zone is interesting because it's one property. So I think it's very important that you called out the nature, the unique nature of the property and its background. So anybody have any changes to this?
Feel like that we're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Louise read it, right?
Okay,
Yes, town council did review this.
okay. So can I get a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? That's unanimous. Okay. Just one note. I think, like, the idea of 55 and older housing is probably acceptable to this commission. I just, the nature of this
Yes.
request was not acceptable for
You
that
design it
property.
that way.
100%.
Yeah. So I would love in the future to see an applicant come forth with 55 and older and design it around that, so.
I'm 54.
Yeah, oh jeez.
No way. You're 54.
I know.
Look good.
Coastal site plan review number 342, flood damage prevention application number 396, land filling regrading application number 462, Tokenie Club Inc., 4 Tokenie Beach Drive. Proposal to renew the club's approximately 84,900 square foot Long Island Sound beachfront with the placement of up to 11,660 cubic yards of sand to perform related to development activities.
This is extremely straightforward. You guys watch it. You have a thoughtful reconstruction of the beach. We were later told it might not even occur now based on, because they got, bad weather brought good sand, I guess, nature, yeah, so, anyway, and I forgot, what was the time frame we gave them? 5 years, right?
I think they looked to coordinate it with the other permits that they had received. So I think this gets to
H says
condition
3.
H, Fred,
Okay.
on page 4. Do we have to revise condition H on page 4?
It says to 2020.
I think we want to push that out further, right? To coordinate.
They asked for 10, I thought we
Which is
said,
condition D.
right, I thought we said 5, right?
Yes, we did
Okay.
say 5, but the commission did say 5, and that is correct. Condition H of the resolution will need to be amended
To
to
be
reflect
5
that.
years to 2024.
Is the
Hold on,
20
wait.
the July 30, 2020, should that say July 30, 2019? That's 3 years
Well,
from.
I think what we want to say is, including but not limited to implementation of the approved plan within 5 years of this action.
I think we want to see 2024.
And we could say, add in the word, maybe it's easier, until July 30th, 2024.
Okay.
Perfect. Great. Okay, so with that amendment, can I get a motion to approve?
Approve plan with the amendment?
Second?
All in favor? Great.
This is a site plan application for 205D, special permit from Food LLC, 205 Boston Post Road. Proposal will install rain chute and fire suppression system for the reheating and cooking of food menu items associated with the new drive-through restaurant.
Bottom line, we're approving a new cooking hood and stove.
We talked about odors. Do we, I don't remember if we addressed
Odors are addressed in the
this or
resolution.
not. I thought I saw it, but I don't remember where.
That would be condition F,
Dry cleaners, that's there.
in order to minimize exhaust and/or venting of odors from the building.
Great, all right, perfect.
Perfect, okay.
Thank you.
Motion to approve as submitted?
Can I just ask one quick question? We're not really keeping them to the extent of the odorless vents like we did for salt, water, flour, pepper, or whatever. Right?
That's correct. I don't
That
think
one had a
it-
super duper Cadillac, you know.
Well,
No,
it
you,
talks here is that it is at least as effective as reducing odors as a water wash, grease trapping design, and charcoal filters. So we are holding them up to that standard.
I was thinking about the fish store, that was the one that we were,
But,
Oh,
I mean,
you're-
okay.
what's his name?
Yeah,
And Karen.
Mr. Genovese Senior
Yeah.
designed that water, salt, flour, whatever, and it's the same they use at the Empire
flour,
State
water,
Building.
salt, yeah. Okay. But we're good, you
Motion to
confirmed your,
approve.
second? Somebody?
Second.
All in favor? Great.
Number
No.
14.
Oh, wait, so that was, let me just
Wait.
get this, so that's 4-1.
And Steve's a no.
Correct.
Number 14, coastal site plan review, 288C, flood damage prevention application number 329C. Jeannie and John Skura, 27 Brush Island Road, proposal to construct a 4x40 dock consisting of a fixed ramp, pier platform, and perform related site activities within regulated areas.
The landing area to the dock that we've approved next door for, it's as straight as forward as you can get.
So, it's just one thing. So, it says Jeannie and John on the, agenda, and the name of address is just John, just so you know. I don't know if that's a,
Yeah, we'll coordinate that.
Yep,
And
okay, cool.
You're right, page
Sorry.
Nice
1.
catch. All right, motion approved with that small
motion
to
approved.
amendment.
Second.
Fran?
So,
Right. All-
Okay.
Yes.
5-0.
Number 15, amendment to land filling and regrading application number 425 David Hughes, 18 Winding Lane. Request to amend the previously approved land filling and regrading application number 425 with respect to the location and construction of the in-ground swimming pool, the retaining walls, terraces, and site grading. Public hearing closes on July 30th.
All right, so this is a little abnormal. We usually don't have a written draft, but given that we were just waiting for confirmations
Yep.
on this, and we had staff draft a positive resolution. So I guess I guess the one question is, do you want to put a bond on this? I don't think, what?
So that's not a terrible idea,
Okay.
given that.
That was the only thing that came to mind, but I don't, it's
Bond,
not as
what-
egregious
What are you
as,
bonding?
yeah, I mean, the completion of the pool within
As-built?
6 months. You have an as-built, right?
Well, the pool,
Yeah.
the only thing we might need an as-built for, the only thing I could think of, which kind of came out tonight, would be the patio, but
How about the patio in the yard in general?
But
Okay.
that's gonna be in the as-built. You can't get the as-built, you can't get, my question is, can we use the pool without the as-built? Can I
No.
fill the pool in
No.
tomorrow and start swimming in it?
No,
Well, you're not
Says who?
supposed to.
it needs a certificate of zoning compliance.
Yeah.
And that is required by condition F of the resolution.
Yep.
The applicant is to provide an as-built with 1-foot contours within 25 feet of the pool,
Before they can put-
demonstrating compliance with the approved plans.
Before they can put water in the pool. That's,
Before the
I
pool?
don't mean to be,
No,
this
that's-
guy can put water in the pool
Yes.
Friday. Instead of
Sure,
swimming.
it could rain, you know.
No, but he could fill his pool.
You're saying no,
I don't think the building department would let him fill the pool.
so,
But
because
he still could.
this
so
guy's
the
got,
bond would
is the
be-
pool finished?
No,
No.
Okay.
Finish.
The structure itself is in the ground.
the tub is, if you
Yeah.
will, but
The
the
pan.
pool equipment's not there. The
Yard's
the
a
coping,
mess.
yeah,
So this whole season's gone, because this guy said he's got 8 months worth of work to do.
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
So you don't
So
think?
he's not using the pool. as
He's
a
not gonna swim this
garden.
year.
Okay.
Unless
I
they're
mean-
October swimmers.
Yeah, unless
It's
you
gotta
really
be
think
heated.
you,
Wow.
yeah,
I
unless it's a
mean-
heated pool,
I
but.
like
All
the
right,
way
we're surmising a whole bunch of different things. So bottom line, they need it, they need the as-built within 25 feet.
That's the
What
way it's been
about?
written.
But that doesn't cover that little access berm that they built
Yeah,
up.
it does.
No, front yard's more than 25 feet.
Yeah, you're
away.
correct,
Well, the
because
burn's
that
gotta
is
be
not
down.
within 25 feet of the
Right, so
pool.
I want to just ensure to what we
Yeah.
heard today,
Oh.
that that's gone. So can we write it that
Yes.
as-built, how can we include that?
How big is the as-built gonna be? It's the whole property or?
No,
just
it's
one
along the
section?
side and then into the back.
It would be very similar to the as-built
We
you
have
have
to
in your
have that.
packet, or got last meeting, which showed kind of the house, the pool, the area grading right around the pool, and then so we can specify that the area
Along there, along the
between
property
the
line.
pool towards the front yard
Yeah,
for 50
along the
feet.
access road,
I
okay?
thought it was the whole road
No, it's just, you,
section.
yeah. Again, they had to dig in, I can't
Right.
really describe it correctly, but it's basically like an access drive, for the lack
It was
of,
the- Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the only way the equipment could get in, because you couldn't get at it from the
along
other
the side of
side.
the Mrs. Cruch's property, so.
Correct.
So you're gonna.
So the
access is
as-built
gonna-
survey should require the access road and the area directly adjacent to the access
Perfect.
road, including the
The
berm.
berm, which
Perfect.
is, gotta be gone,
Yes,
Correct,
correct,
yeah.
yes.
okay, so with
Alright.
that amendment, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve as amended. How it's gonna be amended.
Jim Rand?
Have Eric
Second,
Wood,
Bonnie.
Jake.
All in favor? Sorry.
No, I
I'm
got
afraid-
both.
Okay, we're all in favor.
Okay.
Okay, with that amendment, okay, perfect. That's good.
So he
Okay,
needs a zoning compliance center, but you don't need a C of O for a pool to be able to swim in a pool.
Correct.
Correct.
This certificate of zoning compliance is pretty much the same.
But we don't have that leverage.
you do though, but if they went to sell a house and the pool wasn't approved, then you couldn't really sell a house.
You're probably gonna more.
Have to go get the approval and, yeah, you can. You're right. Yeah, you can, definitely.
A little less than CO, but it's close enough. Okay, minutes, wow, we fell behind, I guess. I didn't realize that. June 25th, I didn't see anything in any of these.
Oh,
All right, so June 25th?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor? July 1,
Motion to approve.
I think we have one change to the July 1st.
what would we do?
No, it's on, we want to just point out to you on page 31, the bottom of page 31. Remember, you may recall, and that's why we included this little map, that when we talked about the MU zone, it was pointed out by Bob Maslin that the little inset map of Oxridge Elementary School was wrong. So the commission in its resolution said, we're approving what was put forth, except just correct this incorrect information, which was pointed out to us, that it's the Oxridge Elementary School property, and that the inset map was wrong. So, why was it wrong?
That's not Oxford.
It included the two residential properties that front
Yeah, the
on
shape of that.
On Mansfield.
Yeah, yeah.
got the
So
emu farm.
those were removed
Great.
Right.
from the map.
Right,
There's little ponies.
right.
Will we get an updated?
They're not alpacas.
We're working on it.
That's an alpaca.
So that's part of the resolution that's going out and being filed with the town clerk this week. But we just wanted to make it clear that condition A specifically talks about that correction.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
That's what it's gonna look.
And that condition as part of the resolution was amended. It now reads, the commission specifically adopts the zoning map amendments as shown on the attached zoning map, period.
Okay, so where's the attached, we don't have the corrected version yet.
That's correct.
Correct.
And it's basically gonna be cut out of the two properties along the south side. It's like this,
Exactly.
because it's the house, there's two properties, right, basically in front, and then there's the access way along the north side of the property.
Yes.
Okay, nice catch, Mr. Maslin, thank you. So these are all the MU zones, though? MUOD, MUODs?
Well, we're working, no, it's not gonna look that way on the final zoning map. We are in the process of proofing the final map, should have it ready by the end of the week, takes effect on August 11th.
Okay,
So we're,
but it's gonna be known as the MUOD?
no, I don't think so.
John's new zoning.
It'll be known as
Known as
MU.
the city.
What is MUOD mean? Overlay, overlay district.
Got
That's what it was.
Most zone. Okay.
Your legacy.
Okay. Oh, so good, that's my legacy. All right, discussion, input for the Board of Selectmen.
7:16
Wait, we
minutes.
didn't do-
Sorry, 7:16.
We didn't vote on, we didn't vote on the first.
I'm trying to get out of here quick. Can I get a motion to approve
Motion to
with that clarification?
With clarification.
I so move.
you.
You're a second, Mr.
Second.
Rand.
All
I'm
in
a
favor?
second.
Yeah, all in favor, okay.
It's the story of my life.
July 16th.
July
Yeah, what about
16th.
16?
July 16th. John.
He's supposed to be reading the,
Hey, man.
Minutes.
Approval of minutes, July 16th.
Approved.
so,
This has been-
really going off the rails.
Seriously?
Okay, all in
Leahy
favor?
Cunningham.
Okay, we're all in favor. Boom shakalaka.
Did you get your, okay.
That would be
You guys are taking over already.
three in
It's great.
favor for July 16th. 3-0, Fred.
3-0? Yep.
Yep, it was Sini, Alvani, and Rand.
So you can't even vote on it, you can't.
She
Why?
can,
Can I
she
sell it?
can sell it.
Absolutely.
Then why can't I have
Yeah.
my minutes?
No, you watched it. Okay,
Yeah.
great. 4-0, sorry.
I get tortured, I get to vote.
Okay, we're done with the minutes?
Yes.
So the P and Z Commission input for the Board of Selectmen comment, community value statement, this was something came up at OPC. The Board of Selectmen's working on a succinct statement to basically reflect what our community values are, and they asked for input. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, they're probably gonna start working on this in September. I, asked Jeremy, actually, or Fred gave you the town plan vision statement. You might wanna just provide this to them if you guys feel really strongly. I'm sure they're gonna let you look at the drafts as it comes along. The goal is to complete it by election day because they want the current Board of Selectmen as it stands now to work on that. And so they're gonna take input from all the other major boards in the RTM.
And who do we give input to? Do we-
Jeremy will probably coordinate with them.
Okay.
And I'm sure they'll give you a draft to kind of just look over. Again, I don't think it's gonna be more than like 4 lines. I think it's not even gonna be close to
Yeah.
the length of this, but if there's a certain aspect that they start coming down, they might ask for input.
Yep.
Project status update, so that was great. We got 2 updates from 2 of the major projects this week. So both breaking ground late fall, maybe early winter.
Correct.
And then David Genovese told us last week,
On the 16th that he's moving along.
Yeah.
He's working closely with, I think he has a state traffic approval. He's working with the Army Corps of Engineers, pursuing, and he's moving along. So he too is planning on starting maybe as soon as later this year.
okay.
So ironically, all 3 projects might get started within a few months of each other.
Okay, that's awesome. And then Old Town Hall Homes is coming along, I'd say.
Yep, the foundation, I was by there today. They're working on the foundation. They hope to get started with the work above the foundation, maybe in late August, early September. And the project will take probably a little more than a year to,
And why don't you just give them a quick line on Oxford School and Pear Tree Point, because those are gonna be, I guess, fall, late fall, maybe early spring next year. Those are
Pear
you.
Point's got the papers, they're approved.
Huh?
Pear Tree Point says they're approved.
right, Pear Tree Point, the committee, there's a committee that's been established that's working on various plans. They went to the Park and Rec Commission. They've hired Neil Hauk and Weston and Sampson to work on the plans. And you can expect to see something later this year, or early next year. There's a number of town approvals required for that project. Oxridge Elementary School similarly looks to come to the commission December or January. The other town project you'll likely see are improvements to Weed Beach. They have got some funding to do some work. You may recall the town bought the Short Lane property a few years ago, so they've integrated that into Weed Beach, and so you'll see a proposal for a number of improvements on that property, as I said, later this year, early next year. And then you'll see other minor proposals. Proposal for generator here at Town Hall. Some, probably see a proposal for the redevelopment of the Bank of America property on 7 Sedgwick, right near Goodwife Shopping Center. You'll see that. So,
Did that sell yet?
I don't know if it's sold, but we've
I
been,
talked to Al today, he didn't say.
we've been working with a gentleman who's interested in redeveloping it. We've met with him at least 3 or 4 times.
Which property is that, the old B of A?
Yeah, drive-through.
When
The
you
drive-through,
no, when you-
yeah.
no, no,
Small
when you
building.
Go into Goodwives, it's on the right.
Yeah, the drive-through, right?
Yep.
The little drive-through building. All right, so that's, oh, and then Board of Ed is looking at some storage facilities, I know. So they might have something
Oh, at the high school.
at the high
We
school.
talked about a storage unit at the high school.
Yeah, units, so that's something they're looking at, and I know it was brought up by the interim superintendent, some security gates.
Yes.
But I was told by the chair that that's kind of, yeah, just securing the oval in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think there's a lot of clarity around that and where that's going. So brand new super, I think they just had their goals and objectives discussion, and I think a lot of that's gonna get flushed out over the next 3 or 4. So there'll be a couple things there, and I mean, everybody's gonna be focused on Oxford School, of course.
Right.
All right, calendar update, September what?
The next meeting is September 3rd, and the one after that is September 10th. We'll kind of see what comes in between now and then. It's possible, best case scenario would be we don't need one of those 2 meetings.
Which ones?
September 3rd and 10th.
All right. And then, I guess this is it. This is my last meeting, last agenda item. Been doing this for 5.5 years. You two, how long you?
Going on 8?
Going on 8, or 7.5 right now, right? Yeah.
Not too much,
Yeah.
3 months short of 8. Yeah.
And you're what?
6 flat.
All right, so I really enjoyed this role. I think I came on, probably everybody thought I was the crazy lights guy. I probably refuted, well, I probably refuted that I was just a lights guy. You can still think I'm crazy, but no, it's been an awesome opportunity. Really enjoyed working with you two and Dave and your department. Really, of course, enjoyed, this commission was great, and even the machinations of when Susan first took over as chair. I mean, there's a huge culture change, and you probably saw it the most, right? And I think for the better. Yeah, yeah. So I think, I think we're in tune, sitting through these OPC meetings and such, in tune with the town and how it's changed. So the 3 big projects, Old Town Hall homes, we did a tally on all the multi-dwelling units and all the affordable housing that's been added. And that's not just my tenure. I mean, we're going back decades, but I think it's really cool how this kind of the pace has changed around here. And I just want to thank all of you. I want to thank my family for dealing with me out of the house. Also the rest of the town leadership. We have a really good group of folks, and sitting in OPC with Jamie, Seth, John, Terry, Tara. Who am I missing? Well, it's myself, I guess. But that's all been great. And let me see if there's anything else. I think that's about it. You know, people like Reese Hutchinson have been huge help, you know, even previous folks, and, you know, as consigliaries, as I've called it. So, Bonnie, keep them in line.
I try.
And I'll be around and hopefully working with you on some Board of Ed stuff. I really want to try to coordinate that. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. So thank you. So that's it. Wow, this is weird.
Oh my
Can I get a
God.
motion to adjourn?
Can I do it?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I can't second it. All in favor? Oh, sorry. One thing. I will be resigning officially tomorrow, just so you know. So just I'll send Donna an email. And you guys will have to, at your first meeting, figure out new officers and as well as appoint a replacement. But the RTC's got somebody lined up, so you'll be all good. So appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Off the record. Thanks, TV
We're
79.
off the record.